Tonight on the Northwestern News Report, The Rock painted in protest, how some members of the Northwestern community are making a statement.
CTU still on strike, but what does that mean for students applying to college?
Plus, how some Evanstonians are getting into the spooky spirit.
Those stories and more tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news
right now. Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Justin Sweetwood.
And I'm Joey Safchik. We begin tonight with a campus controversy about our university's history and how we discuss it. John Evans is one of Northwestern's founders and the namesake of Evanston. Evans was the governor and superintendent of Indian Affairs of the former Colorado Territory during the Sand Creek Massacre, when U.S. Army cavalry soldiers killed about 150 Native Americans in Colorado. Some members of the NU community want to make sure a message about Northwestern's history is heard loud and clear. NNN's Megan Leibowitz has the story.
Friday night, the Northwestern community went to sleep with the rock painted to welcome alumni. But on Saturday morning, NU woke up to a new paint job that's starting conversations on campus.
I walked by it and I was like, whoa, that's different.
The Rock said this land is colonized, an expletive, John Evans, y'all are racist, and more. No word yet on who painted it.
I think it's like a really radical statement to make, but also very warranted.
News of The Rock being painted over spread quickly by word of mouth, The Rock camera, and social media.
The first time I saw it was on somebody else's, I think it was Instagram story.
Using The Rock to open dialogues.
Starting the discussion, who was John Evans, why was this problematic?
And take a look at NU's past.
The best we could do is acknowledge that the history that we have is bad.
A study conducted in part by Northwestern scholars was published in 2014 and came to the conclusions that although there's no evidence to indicate that Evans helped plan the massacre or even knew of it beforehand, he helped create a situation that made the massacre possible. Now, The Rock is starting conversations about how NU can acknowledge its connection with John Evans and make amends.
I think it's really important that they would call attention to some of the awful colonization that we have in our past.
Removing his name from buildings.
When asked for comment, a university spokesperson said, quote, Northwestern is committed to the principles of free inquiry and free expression. However, painting obscenities on university property violates Northwestern's policies. But some students say The Rock's language is warranted.
The words used doesn't really matter if you're trying to prove a point.
Painting The Rock to Rock Campus Dialogue. Megan Leibowitz, Northwestern News Network.
In contrast to the NU study, University of Denver, which was also co-founded by Evans, published a study that goes further in indicting Evans in the Sand Creek Massacre. It also says he authorized, quote, indiscriminate violence against Native people in his time as governor.
Class is still not in session as the Chicago Teachers Union strike carries on. This is CTU's 13th day on strike as they negotiate with the district about issues such as staffing and class size. On Sunday evening, Mayor Lori Lightfoot announced the city reached a tentative deal with SEIU Local 73, which represents CPS support staff. But as the strike continues with CTU, some CPS teachers are expressing concern about the environment students will return to once class resumes.
It's going to be really important that as we go back into the classroom that we have conversations about what our contract fight was about, so that students understand what we were fighting for.
ACT testing scheduled to take place at CPS schools this weekend was canceled because of the strike. According to the Chicago Tribune, about 500 students were planning to take Saturday's test at 6 CPS locations. The affected students will have another chance to take the test.
The CTU strike is putting Chicago finances in the spotlight, but what else is going on with economics in the Windy City? Here's NNN's Olivia Olander with this week's Money Minute.
This week, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot unveiled her plan for the city's budget. The budget aims to take on Chicago's $838 million deficit. What parts of the proposal are most likely to affect you? Well, the plan includes an increased tax on single riders in apps like Lyft and Uber, as well as on shared rides downtown during peak hours. Meanwhile, the tax on shared rides outside the loop would go slightly down. It also proposes higher taxes on food and drinks in restaurants in Chicago. When Lightfoot introduced the budget in a speech on Wednesday, she stressed first and foremost that the budget does not include a property tax hike. However, it relies on new legislation from the Illinois state government to fill the gap. This includes a graduated tax on real estate sales and making a casino in Chicago more viable. According to the Chicago Tribune, critics, including some of the aldermen Lightfoot needs to pass the budget plan, have expressed uncertainty about whether state lawmakers will actually vote for these proposals. That's all for Money Minute. Back to you.
Thanks, Olivia. Parents of an ex-Northwestern student pleaded guilty in a nationwide college admissions scandal. On Monday, Manuel and Elizabeth Henriquez entered guilty pleas in a Boston federal court after previously pleading not guilty in April. Both parents face charges of conspiracy to commit mail and wire fraud and money laundering. When asked for comment, an NU spokesperson said that the university is aware of the plea, and as of May 2019, Ms. Henriquez is no longer enrolled. During J.B. Pritzker's 2018 gubernatorial campaign, he was a vocal advocate for marijuana legalization, and last June, he turned his vision into a reality. I went to find out more about what's to change in Evanston and on campus. With blurred windows and a muted exterior, it's easy for Verilife to blend right in. But after Illinois legalized recreational marijuana in June, the doors to Evanston's medicinal dispensary might become a little more open to the public. As it currently stands, only those with a medical card are allowed in Evanston's sole dispensary right behind me. But once January 1st comes, anyone can walk right in, but not on Northwestern property afterwards. That's because Northwestern complies with the Drug-Free Schools and Community Act, mandating a drug-free campus. But it's not something Verilife sees itself liable for.
Do I think that's my responsibility? No. It's not like you can't sell a falafel sandwich somewhere because the Northwestern University doesn't want you to bring a falafel sandwich on campus.
The city of Evanston stands to benefit as well, with $250,000 in projected annual tax revenue. Alderman Robin Rue Simmons has a unique vision of where those new funds should be directed.
I'm working with the community and others on council to implement a reparation policy that would specifically support African American Evanston residents.
Simmons remains confident that most, if not all, of the tax revenue will go towards those who were disproportionately affected by marijuana-related crimes.
Personal income has been lost. It has damaged the opportunity to build wealth in the household of Black residents.
Issues surrounding zoning still need to be addressed, as some have expressed concerns about proximity between dispensaries and schools. All of this before the new year comes around. Illinois became the 11th state to legalize recreational marijuana, but it is still prohibited from campus and university-sanctioned events.
Coming up, how international students are finding allies at NU.
And ghostly greetings from Evanston, how locals are celebrating Halloween.
And we're gearing up for what might be our first taste of snow here in Evanston. But what's this going to look like for your Halloween weekend? I'll have your 5-day forecast and more coming up after the break.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
For some queer international students, NU is the first place they feel comfortable coming out. NNN's Alex Chun has that story.
This is international student Mark Park dancing to the beat of his own drum. But even though he's been a dancer for many years, the support he receives at Northwestern is new to him.
It was just not right to be who you were.
As a queer international freshman, Park wasn't sure if he'd come out right away at school.
The only thought that kind of went through my head as I was boarding the plane was, well, it can't be worse than this.
But at Northwestern, Park found lots of support.
One was my PA, who was also open about it, and that's why I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Since coming to NU, Park has found community in dance group Fusion.
They don't look at you like you're any different. They treat you exactly the same.
Even though Northwestern can offer a haven where you can be yourself, experts say there's always work to be done.
Ideally, each college and university would have resources like an international student center to work with international queer students.
For Park, it's just about embracing every moment, one count at a time. Alex Chun, Northwestern News Network.
South Korea does not penalize same-sex civilian conduct, but Park says he feels more accepted here at Northwestern.
And students, international or not, have the opportunity to share their culture on campus. With Diwali and other Asian celebrations coming up, Northwestern student organizations are preparing to celebrate the Festival of Lights. Here's NNN's Jenny He.
On campus, South Asian students get to dance and share their cultures through events like the annual Salsa Show.
I don't think there's one main event. There are a couple major events throughout the year.
To celebrate Diwali, or the Festival of Lights, the South Asian Student Association, or SASA, will light up NU with their event called Festival of Lights.
Different kind of regional and cultural units within South Asia have other holidays that they celebrate or other ways they celebrate Diwali, which is why we call the event Festival of Lights.
SASA is just one of many NU student organizations working to promote awareness of Asian cultures.
We have student performers sing and dance. We have external headliners like from Korea.
Ensuring that students can engage with their culture in college.
It's really easy to lose your sense of purpose and then become more of a social club.
Connecting students away from home to both familiar and unfamiliar cultures abroad. Jenny He, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Jenny. The One Book, One Northwestern Committee is seeking book recommendations for the 2020-2021 school year. The committee welcomes suggestions from the Northwestern community and the Evanston community at large. Submit a suggestion by November 8th.
Halloween is just around the corner, and Evanston residents are getting in the spooky spirit. And then Savannah Kelly tells us about the tricks and treats in store.
Every year, families take to the streets of downtown Evanston for the city's trick-or-treat stroll.
Getting to dress this little one up in a Pikachu costume is probably
pretty
the
much, yes.
Local businesses give out candy and other treats.
Every day the kids have a lot of fun, even just walking around and see other fellow kids. Yeah.
Marketing manager for downtown Evanston, Laura Brown, estimates that 500 people attended the event.
This is the first year we did the parade, so we did a little mini parade from Raymond Park to Fountain Square. So that was really fun just to see all the families out there.
No one is more excited for the festivities than 9-month-old Adelaide.
She's been excited. We got the Pikachu costume a little while ago, and it's been in her room, and she's pulling it out of her closet saying, I want to wear it. And we're not yet.
Evanston's trick-or-treat stroll is one of the few times when families and young kids dominate the streets of this college town.
The event is super fun. It's the weather leaves a little something to be desired, but everyone's been really fun and welcoming, and it's great to see all the cute kids and all the costumes.
But even the weather couldn't rain on this parade. Savannah Kelly, Northwestern News Network.
Official trick-or-treating hours for the city of Evanston are 4 to 7 p.m. on Thursday, October 31st.
And here to tell you if this week's weather will be tricky or a treat is NNN's Saba Matthews with your 5-day weather forecast.
Well, everyone, it's time to kiss that sweet 50-degree weather goodbye as low-pressure systems moving up from Kansas makes their way to the Great Lakes. It looks like we've been dodging most of the snow that other Midwest states are getting, but make sure to have some light snow on your radar starting late night on Thursday and Friday morning. It won't be anything too crazy, but I would recommend an umbrella for a pretty wet week. You can expect temperatures this week to be mostly in the 40s with lows around 30 degrees. On Wednesday, we'll start out partly cloudy with a high of 43 and an 80% chance of rain. Later, we'll have scattered thunderstorms throughout the night, reaching a low of around 41 degrees. Thursday is Halloween, and you should definitely be aware of some large incoming rain showers during early parts of the night. With an 80% chance of rain, your cat costume might look great with an umbrella. Late at night, there's a chance of snow, which will be more prominent on Friday morning. Our high on Thursday is 43, but the temperature could be 29 by the time you go out at night. Friday will be breezy with a high of 41 and a low of 30, so be on the lookout for that snow if you wake up early. But it'll mostly be a partly cloudy day. Winds will be high, and if you're along Lake Michigan, you could see waves crashing up to 5 feet high. This weekend, we can finally take a break from the downpour because Saturday should be mostly sunny with highs at 40 and lows at 30. Sunday will be similar with a high of 44 and a low of 36, but you could see winds up to 20 miles per hour this weekend. So might I recommend treating yourself to a steaming cup of hot cocoa to keep warm. I'm Saba Matthews, and this was your 5-day weather forecast. Back to you guys on the desk.
Thanks, Ava. So it looks like we've got a chilly week ahead, Joey. Potential snow on Thursday, on Halloween. Now, normally I think people get a little too excited for the holiday season. They get excited in October, putting up Santa and Thanksgiving. Normally I think you have to wait till after Thanksgiving. But the snow, I think, makes it worth it this year. I think you can celebrate
when
early.
It's out of our control, when the universe is telling us to celebrate early, we have to celebrate early.
Yeah, you put the Christmas lights up.
I'm very excited for the
Normally
snow.
the first
Hot
snowfall,
take.
not in October, but
No, but this LA girl is
coincide this
ready.
year.
It's so fun. It's majestic. Yeah, I'm very excited. And coming up, what advice do alumni have for you? Wildcat grads share their purple pride after the break.
The Northwestern football team is passing in the classroom, but failing on the field. I'm Jack Lito, and I'll have sports right after this.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that with our colors flying. We will cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
Well, believe it or not, it was another rough Saturday for Wildcat football. But if you prefer books to balls, we've got some good news. NNN's Jack Lito has more.
Joey, let's talk football. It was a classic low-scoring Northwestern loss on Saturday, and the only thing uglier than the weather at Ryan Field was the Wildcat offense. Roll the tape. The Hawkeyes were all over Aiden Smith. The junior threw for under 150 yards in his third straight start. The Cats' defense was stout, only holding Iowa to 2 touchdowns, but it took just a couple of big plays for the Hawkeyes to finish off the Cats. This is Northwestern's second straight home game without a touchdown. The only other team to accomplish this feat, if you will, is Akron, and that's not a club you want to join. While we may hate to admit it, there are things more important than football. Northwestern players know that well, and as such, they became the first Power 5 FBS program to achieve a 100% graduation success rate, according to the latest NCAA GSR report. Joey and Justin, that is all I have for you today, but Sports Night will be back on Thursday. We are on the cusp of conference tournament season, so be sure to tune in for highlights and breaking news. But for now, back to you two on the desk.
Thanks, Jack. On Sunday, alumni who graduated some 50 years ago reunited at the Half Century Club brunch. NNN's Andrew Rowan caught up with the graduates who've been loyal Wildcats for half a century.
Of course, they replaced the lake with all these buildings. So
if you'd taken a tour of campus back when these Wildcats were students, the first thing you might notice is that some of today's iconic buildings are missing.
The year after we graduated, the new library opened up, Norris soon opened up.
The class of 1969 graduated right before many iconic Northwestern landmarks opened up, like University Library in 1970, Norris in 1971, Francis Searle in 1972, and Pick Stager Concert Hall in 1975.
A really vacant landfill, pretty ugly.
Although some buildings have changed,
I think the music school was in a decrepit building somewhere over off to the side of the campus.
current NU students are building memories in some structures that have been here for decades and even more than a century.
All the buildings that we attended for classes are still here, which is really good that the college has maintained them and refurbished them.
Alumni remember budding relationships.
And I say we because I met my husband here my freshman year. So
wow.
Yeah.
Where did you meet?
At a fraternity party. Yes, indeed. And it was love at first sight, I think.
And they offer words of wisdom for current students.
Keep your friends, even keep close to people you didn't particularly care for that much in school, because you will be hearing about them or seeing them later. And just remember where you came from.
These graduates say they can't wait to see what Northwestern has in store for the next 50 years. Andrew Rowan, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Andrew. Continuing our homecoming coverage, we wanted to know what alumni had to say about their favorite NU memories.
So we asked them in this week's edition of Rock Talk.
Hi, I'm Chloe Cope. This is Rock Talk. This week is homecoming week for Northwestern, so we're asking alumni what their favorite memories are.
Rock Talk.
Well, I'm not going to tell any wild stories. I think that would not be appropriate, but I really miss sort of the intellectual camaraderie.
Okay, I loved Deering Library. I loved going in there and studying the old feeling and vibes.
What was great is there was this theater group who came out and did a Muppets thing.
I think it's really the relationships and that have continued. You know, we're back for our 20th reunion, and these people right here, they're my favorite memory.
I'm gonna go with Dillo Day.
We used to party at Sargent and party at the Plex and party at the Black House till like 3-4 o'clock in the morning. We had mellow sessions, which was just catered beer in the basement of the Plex. It was kind of great.
That sounds awesome.
Really just the whole experience. We met amazing people here and got a great education, and yeah, we just always look back on it with really fond memories and feel lucky to go here.
Rock Talk. If you have an idea for a future Rock Talk topic, tweet us at NNN_news. And coming up, three-peat, the Windy City is the place to be. Find out why after this break.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Northwestern break right through that. With our colors flying, we and we will cheer you all to go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, spread for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
At Northwestern University, we are pioneering innovation and achieving excellence across every imaginable discipline. At Northwestern University, the possibilities are endless.
And we're keeping you in the loop with this exciting Chicago news. More than 600,000 people voted on the best big city to visit. And for the third year in a row, Chicago came out on top. It's the Windy City, the second city, and now it's the best city.
It's super clean and gorgeous. The architecture, I think, is the best in our entire country.
And Condé Nast Traveler readers agree. For the third year in a row, they voted Chicago the best big city to visit in the U.S.
Chicago is an interesting city because it has a really rich history of people flocking to the city for various reasons. 300% students should go to Chicago. They should spend as much time as possible in Chicago.
And like the professor said, as college students, we absolutely have to take advantage of the city. So let's talk on what U.S. News and World Report calls one of the best public transport systems in the U.S. to find out why the second city is first.
You can still have the big city feel, but then get away if you need to and just go to the parks and the lakes.
There's all sorts of possibilities for free things in Chicago.
I think it's an amazing city for sports and food.
So many restaurants, we have so many different restaurants.
But it's not just about the food and free things. It's about the people.
It's so diverse. Chicago's a very diverse city.
I love the people, first of all, because there's the Midwest charm.
It's a city that continues on some of its earliest traditions as being a place where people are fighting for what they need, but also experimenting with what a city can be.
The Reader's Choice Award tells us tourists adore Chicago. And the data proves it. Chicago tourism has gone up 8 years in a row. Chi-Town hosted nearly 60 million visitors last year.
I love it here. I'm actually from New York, and I like it here better.
From the sights to the sounds, the taste, the bears, and all that jazz, Chicago is one of a kind. And if you're looking for a good excuse to explore the city's neighborhoods, programs like NU Nights and Engage Chicago offer students the opportunity to scout out Chicago. So, I'm not going crazy. Okay. Chance the Rapper agrees that Chicago is the best city. He did his whole SNL monologue about what makes Chicago better than New York.
Is where you live. I say the best state is New Jersey because
You're
that's
wrong.
where I live.
But Chicago is objectively the best city. I am not from here, and I adore it.
Yeah, and Chance, very big part of Chicago culture over the summer when the alligator was on the loose and Chicago needed to name an alligator, Chance the Snapper, if I'm not mistaken, was what we came up with.
It was an homage to Chance. He gives an homage
to Chicago. So I guess
Chicago.
That means you're essentially the pop culture mayor of Chicago if they name an alligator after you.
Absolutely. I'd buy it. That's all the time we have for tonight. For all of us here at NNN, I'm Joey Safchik.
And I'm Justin Sweetwood. Thanks for watching. Good night.